Hello guys, welcome back to our Clean Code Ninja series. In the previous episode, we learned about the power of meaningful names for variables, constants and properties. Today, we are taking a closer look at clean code and diving into the rules of naming functions and methods. In this episode, you will discover rules of writing good names for functions and methods to enhance code quality. We'll also take examples of bad, okay and good function names. In the end, we will use the concepts learned in this video to transform a bad code into clean code. But before we get started, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. So how should we go about naming functions and methods? Well, it depends on what they do. So let's break it down into two main categories. Functions or methods that perform operation, or function or methods that return booleans. For functions and methods that perform operations, your function or method name should simply describe the operation that it carries out. For example, getUser or response.send. In case of getUser, it's evident that we are fetching a user likely from database. But in case of response.send, this name signals that we are probably sending out a response when this method is invoked. As always, more details into your function or method names are fantastic, but only if they add value and aren't redundant. For example, if you're fetching a user by their email from a database, naming the function getUser by email is crystal clear. It leaves no room for confusion about fetching the ID or any other criteria. On the other hand, when it comes to response.send, it's pretty straightforward. Adding more details like respond.send response would be redundant. Now, if your function or method computes a Boolean value, you are in the business of answering yes or no questions. Here's what we make an exception. Your function's name can describe the result rather than the operation. For instance, isValid or purchase.isPaid. In case of isValid, it's self-explanatory. It returns true or false based on some validation criteria. In case of purchase.isPaid, this method tells us whether the purchase has been paid or not. When dealing with booleans like isValid, adding more specifics could make sense in certain situations. For example, if your function specifically validates email addresses, then email isValid provides more clarity. However, for purchase.isPaid, it's often clear enough as it is. Remember, the goal is clarity and understanding, so choose your functions and method names wisely. Let's dig into some real-world examples of functions and method names, breaking them down into three categories: bad, okay, and good. Bad names could be process and handle. These names are overly generic and could apply to various operations, making it unclear what's happening. For okay names, we can use save and store data. While they convey that something is being saved, they lack specificity. If save is not called on an object but instead receives one as an argument, a better choice might be save user. For good names, we can use save method on user object. If save is a method on a user object, it becomes perfectly clear that the user is being saved. Using a method approach ensures clear intent. As we move forward, you'll encounter more examples in this section. However, before we delve into those, I'd like to challenge you with a question. Just pause a video for a while and imagine you are asked with naming a function or a method responsible for validating user input. How would you like to choose a name for it? Keep in mind that it doesn't necessarily have to return true or false, so what name would best capture the essence of this function or method? Take a moment to ponder this and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. For validating user input, the bad names could be process or save. These names are inappropriate because they don't accurately describe the validation operation. For okay names, we can go with validate, save or check. While better than the bad names, they still leave some guessing about what's happening. For better names, we can go with validate or isValid. Validate save implies both validation and saving, which is okay if that's what the function does. Check is okay but lacks specificity. Validate is a good choice, especially when you are not returning true or false. IsValid, on the other hand, is excellent if the function returns true or false. In essence, the key is to choose names that provide clarity and accurately represent what the function or method does. Your naming should eliminate guesswork for anyone reading your code. So when you encounter a task like naming a function that validates user input, choose a name like validate or isValid for utmost clarity. In today's episode, we are going to tackle another coding challenge, transforming the unclear and poorly named function into a clean, understandable piece of code. Let's dive in. Take a look at this function. It's in dire need of some attention. Its purpose is far from clear and those variable names aren't helping matters. But fear not, we're here to make it shine. We have renamed the function to hasError, which explicitly states its purpose. Instead of v, we have chosen hasError flag to represent the flag that indicates the presence of an error. The loop index, previously I, remains the same for consistency. With these straightforward yet impactful naming improvements, the code is now significantly more readable and clean. Thank you for joining us on this clean code journey, and remember, clean code not only makes your lives easier, but makes the coding world a better place. Happy coding!